It was one of those rare Saturdays in Seattle, when the rain had paused just long enough to let the sunlight peek through. The house felt unusually quiet, almost peaceful. My parents had gone out of town for the weekend to attend a family wedding, leaving me and my little brother, Ethan, in charge of the house. I was 20, a college student majoring in psychology. Ethan was 12, curious, energetic, and a bit too fond of mischief. But he was my little brother, and I loved him to bits. I was supposed to be the responsible one, but as I looked at him that morning, wearing a superhero cape made from an old bedsheet, I couldn't help but laugh. "Ethan," I said, trying to keep a straight face, "you know superheroes still need breakfast, right?" He puffed out his chest dramatically. "Super Ethan doesn't eat breakfast. He saves the world first." I shook my head, heading to the kitchen. "Well, Super Ethan better save his appetite too, or Mom's going to blame me when she finds out you survived the weekend on cookies." He grinned and followed me, dragging his cape behind him. Morning mayhem. Breakfast was chaos, as usual. Ethan tried to flip pancakes like a chef he saw on YouTube, but one landed on the floor, another stuck to the ceiling fan, and the third somehow ended up on my shoulder. "Ethan," I shouted, laughing despite myself. "You're banned from pancake duty." But I was experimenting. Science needs risks. Science can start with cleaning this mess first. We spent the next 20 minutes wiping syrup off the counter and laughing about who made the bigger mess. Spoiler, it was him. It felt like the kind of morning you never really plan, but end up remembering forever. After breakfast, I decided to do laundry, while Ethan went to the living room to play video games. The hum of the washing machine and the faint sounds of his laughter in the background made the house feel alive. The power outage. By noon, the sky turned gray again. Dark clouds rolled in, and soon thunder echoed across the neighborhood. I was in my room studying when suddenly, everything went dark. The power had gone out. Emma. Ethan's small voice came from the hallway. "Did we just lose power, or did I break something again?" I smiled, walking toward him with my phone flashlight on. "You didn't break anything this time, I promise. It's just the storm." He clung to my arm. "Can we light candles? It feels like one of those scary movie nights." "Only if you promise not to scare me afterward," I teased. We lit a few candles around the living room and wrapped ourselves in blankets. The rain began to pour, tapping against the windows rhythmically. Outside, the wind howled like something out of a storybook. A memory from the past. As the storm raged on, Ethan suddenly asked, "Emma, do you remember when Dad used to build forts with us during power cuts?" I nodded, smiling softly. "Of course. We'd use every pillow and blanket in the house. Can we do that again?" I hesitated for a second but then shrugged. "Why not? Let's make the biggest fort this house has ever seen." In minutes, our living room turned into a masterpiece of childhood imagination, blankets draped over chairs, pillows stacked like walls, and a flashlight hanging from the top like a chandelier. We crawled inside, and it felt magical. Time slowed down. The outside world disappeared. It was just us, laughing and sharing snacks. Ethan looked at me seriously. "You know, you're not just my sister. You're kinda like my best friend too." That hit me right in the heart. "Well, you're my favorite little brother," I said, tousling his hair. "I'm your only brother," he corrected. "Exactly. The little scare." Suddenly, we heard a loud thud from upstairs. Both of us froze. "Was that the wind?" he whispered. "Probably," I said, though my voice wasn't convincing. He looked at me with wide eyes. "Or maybe it's a ghost." "Ethan, don't start." We listened for another sound. The house creaked again, followed by another thump. I grabbed a flashlight and whispered, "Stay here, I'll check." Of course, he didn't listen. He followed me anyway. We climbed the stairs slowly. The wind howled outside, and rain slapped the windows. I opened the door to my parents' room, and there it was. The window had blown open, knocking down a few photo frames. I sighed in relief and closed it tightly. Ethan let out a dramatic exhale. "See, I told you. Definitely not a ghost." I turned to him. "You were the one who said it was a ghost." "Details," he said with a grin. The talk that changed everything. Later that evening, after dinner, the power finally came back on. But instead of going back to our phones and TV, we stayed in our fort. Ethan looked thoughtful. Emma, can I tell you something? Of course. I kinda get scared sometimes when mom and dad aren't home. Not like monsters or anything. Just being alone. I put my arm around him. That's normal, Ethan. Even grown-ups get scared sometimes. But you're never really alone, okay? You've got me. He looked up, his voice soft. Promise. I promise. There was a long pause before he whispered, I'm glad you're my sister. Tears filled my eyes. Me too, Ethan. Me too. A night to remember. That night, we fell asleep inside the fort. The storm passed, leaving behind a calm silence. When I woke up the next morning, sunlight was streaming through the curtains. Ethan was still sleeping beside me, clutching a half-empty bag of chips. I looked around at the mess we made, the blankets, the crumbs, the toppled candle, and couldn't help but smile. It was one of those perfectly imperfect moments that stay with you forever. When Mom called to check on us, I told her everything was fine. I didn't mention the fort, or the pancakes, or the scare upstairs. Some memories were just ours to keep. After all, it wasn't just a stormy day, it was the day I realized how fast my little brother was growing up, and how much those small, silly moments mattered.